So we're going to head out to the northeastern side, northeastern, the northwest side, to a place called Sandness, and it's all single track driving. We're just going to about to cross the bridge of Waz, so it's a wee bridge between part of the mainland and Waz. We're going to do a quick right and we're going to head out effectively what is 6 or 7 miles of single track driving to get to this little village for the next drop. I thought I'd give you an idea of what the roads look like and sort of conditions are. Now, over the last sort of 24 hours it has improved immeasurably. The council are pretty good and have got their act together, and all the roads are looking pretty sharp now. You have to remember this is basically a road to nowhere really, but it's still being gritted, it's still being looked after. So this is fairly typical of what we do on a daily basis really. It's more driving than it is delivering. If you're in town, obviously you've been doing a lot more deliveries, but obviously the distance between drops out here are anything between 20 and 25 miles and things like that. So therefore they're going to have less drops. I think this morning I've got 6, I think, and this afternoon I think I've got 7. So, not that many drops over the course of a day, but you will spend most of it driving. So outside temperature today is around about, I've just checked, it's about -4, -5, depending whether we're up hills or down dales. And we're going to a really remote place, so. So in Sandness there's effectively only one employer really, which is the local mill. So there's lots of people that live there that work in the local wool trade and mill trade, making stuff out there. And the style of the houses, like most other places in Shetland, is Nordic, sort of Norwegian style. And these roads really are addictive, because if you're a driver and you love driving, then there's nowhere else in the world like it. It's just mile after mile of perfect tarmac. You hardly ever meet another vehicle, and it's all windy and that, so it's great to be able to time your bend and time the approach to hills and things like that, and get it right, when you're hitting the apex of bends and things like that. There you go. Part of the problem is obviously because it's open farmland, lots of it, you encounter sheep. They're pretty well trained up by this time of the year. It's when the lambs come along in a couple of months' time that you end up experiencing all the problems, because mum's on one side, the lamb's on the other, and they want to get back to one another and meet up. Invariably it's in the middle of the road. So we've got a couple more up on the bend here as well. So those of you that are not familiar with single track driving, every few hundred metres and that we have passing places, either on the left or on the right. There's no left or right, depending which way you're coming or anything else like that. It's just a single track road, you know. Nobody has priority or anything else like that. You just try and be as courteous as you can. And because usually you have a wider view of the terrain, you can usually time it so that you're not interrupted, you're not stopping or slowing down. As in this case, here we go, look, see, someone's pulled over. And everybody waves. Button coming up here. There's a passing place just on the bridge. Somebody's decided to ignore. There we go, well done matey. Thank you. Out of the wee button. Off we go again. The telephones and mobile phones rather, and that just, they don't work out here. There's no signal, doesn't matter what network you're with. So we tend to communicate via WhatsApp or a messaging system, because we can get Wi-Fi from local council places. So the schools, any libraries, any swimming pools, things like that, they've all got council Wi-Fi, and it's all free and open, so we just use that to contact people who we need. In the event of emergency, you literally just have to wait for somebody to come along, or walk a mile or so until you get a signal. So the sun is trying to get out today, and it could be a spectacular afternoon. I've got a very similar run later on, similar direction, a bit further west rather than northwest. There we go again. So that's a perfect example of how it works with the passing places. Now these roads are national speed limits. We're obviously governed to 50 miles an hour, which is the speed limit for the vehicles in Shetland. There aren't any dual carriageways or anything else like that. By the same token, there aren't any speed cameras either. There's no speed cameras either. Thank you. And you couldn't do 60 miles an hour. You can't do 50 miles an hour along these roads anyway. windy. It's lovely to drive. So I don't know if there's any bikers, but yeah, you can imagine this on a nice bike on a nice day. Plenty of grip, putting your knee down on the bends. So here we go, Sandness. So I'm going to pause it for the time being, because obviously I don't want to compromise anybody's address or anything else like that. Right, so we're going to leave Sandness and start heading back towards Redgeways. So same road but in reverse. Well, forward, but you know, backwards. You know what I'm talking about. So there's lots of little remote places, little hamlets and villages and that in Shetland. This just happens to be one of the more remoter ones. I didn't check the distance to my next one. 9 miles to the next one. And all of these little villages and that, they've all got village halls, they've all got swimming pools, because the oil and the gas money's paid for it. The oil and the gas companies are taxed quite heavily, and it's also the reason why property here is quite expensive. Rentals and things like that are quite expensive, because if you can imagine somebody from Mobil or from Texaco or Shell or BP or whatever who's looking for a house, one, they're probably on far more salary than your average person, but also if it's a corporate let, which is what they tend to go for here, they can charge what they like. They can charge you £2 a week, because to Shell or BP, £2 is, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds of production. It means nothing to them, 2,000, because they, they're dealing billions and billions and billions. So having to rent a house at £8 a month or £10 a month or something just means nothing to them. It's inconsequential. Obviously you, I, everybody else, we can't afford to do things like that. That's why the discrepancy comes in. This is one of the reasons why we get a higher hourly rate than your average CDD and things like that. It's because everything here is just so bloody expensive. Fuel is, I checked it the other day, it was 11 pence a litre more than it is on the Scottish mainland. Yeah, 11p a litre more. That's for diesel. I think it was about 8 or 9 pence a litre more for unleaded. So for every litre I'm putting into my Vauxhall, I'm having to pay an extra 10 or 11 pence on top of what everybody else does. You stick 60-70 litres in your car, soon adds up. So the days here are starting to get a little bit longer. Sunset I think is about 5:30 today. So we're starting to catch up with the mainland. And then pretty soon we'll overtake you. and you'll be dark and won't be light. I've got a lot of driving to do today, because even when I get back at lunchtime, I've got a 40-mile round trip to let the dog out for a pee, because the missus is working a double shift today at the airport. So I've got to use my lunch to drive home to let the dog out, and then hightail it back to work again and get back out again. So like a lot of places, we load our own vans as well. So typically we have a 9 AM start. We don't do earlies. We have a 9 AM start and a 7 PM finish. And again, typically we will work, I normally do 4 days a week properly, and a half day or something like that. And I tend to have from Monday evening from 7 PM off until Thursday 7 PM off, so sort of 3 clear days off really. Where the clouds breaking up, we're actually getting a bit of sunshine, which is nice. So off in the far distance, the place we're heading towards a place called Bigster, Bixter, Bigster. It looks like it could be quite sunny over that way. As you can tell, it's horrible being stuck in traffic all day. So a few of the things that Shetland is famous for not having, we don't have trees. We're doing little bits of places, but they're special places, like places called Michael's Wood, where people go for holidays and things like that. It's my gas supply bloke. And there's no foxes. We don't have any foxes. And contrary to what the TV series would have you believe, there hasn't been a murder in, I don't know, 4 decades or something stupid like that. Crime is negligible. The report in the paper the other day was front page news, by the way, was that someone had smashed a window on the high street. That's what made the headlines, and that tends to be what it is. It tends to be drunkenness and things like that. One of the things the oilers and the gas companies, they sign a pledge so that if any of their employees are violent, you can get away with drunkenness, you can get away with pissing around and things like that, and causing a bit of mayhem and trouble and things like that. But the moment you raise your hands and you injured anybody else, you're gone. You're history. Doesn't matter what you're earning or what your position is, you're off the island. You'll be in court that morning and you'll be on the boat that night. Let's try and time it for this driver. There we go. Yeah, anything like that, and you're gone. And that's the other thing as well, because it's such a close-knit community, you wouldn't do anything that would harm your neighbours or bring shame on your community or anything else like that, because you'd be ostracised, you'd be outlawed, you know. You wouldn't have a friend in the world. So you don't do stupid things like graffiti. You don't do silly things like where kids, you know, get involved with drugs and things like that. It just doesn't happen. The itinerant workers that come in and things like that, they tend to be the ones who find themselves in court. And when it's not unusual, because obviously you're earning a lot of money, there's very few places you can spend it. So what are you going to spend it on? You're going to spend it on drink or on drugs or something like that, you know. That's what you're going to do. Especially if you're, you know, a young lad and he's earning, I don't know, 70,000, 80,000 pounds a year. You can save so much and you can build a house or buy a house or something like that. You want to spend money, I mean, if you've been on the rigs and things like that, you want to be spending some of the money you earn as well. And you know, the local people embrace all of that. As I say, but the moment you inflict harm on somebody else, your working days here are over. So we're going to head back down this little valley to the Bridge of Waz. At which point you will have heard enough of my blather, seen enough of snow. There we go. So just over on the left is the Bridge of Waz. We'll cross it and I'll turn you off. So you can see the sign, 25 miles is what it is back to my base from here. Just waiting on a Shetland milk lorry van coming through. Thank you. Yon Bonnie Bridge. There we go. So I'm done. Enjoy your day.